When a cold-hearted Korean billionaire in a wheelchair offers a broke American woman millions to be his fake wife for 90 days, neither of them expects the contract to shatter the walls around their hearts, or that he'd tear it up and beg her to marry him for real in front of a crowd of strangers. Before we dive into this incredible journey, hit that subscribe button right now, smash the like, and drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. Are you team fake marriage or team real love? Let's get into it. The terms are non-negotiable, Chairman Park said, sliding a thick document across the table. Your grandfather's will explicitly states you must be married before your 32nd birthday to maintain controlling shares of the company. Seo-Ryun didn't touch the document. I have 90 days. 87, Park corrected, his smile thin. And if you fail, controlling interest transfers to your cousin. Minjun is already preparing to take over. Of course he was. Minjun had been circling like a vulture since the accident 3 years ago. The same accident that had stolen Seo-Ryun's ability to walk. The same accident that had revealed exactly who truly cared about him. His ex-fiancée's face flashed in his mind. The way she looked at him in that hospital bed, disgust barely hidden behind her tears. I can't do this, she'd whispered before walking out. He hadn't seen her since. I'll handle it, Seo-Ryun said coldly. Park raised an eyebrow. You'll handle it? You haven't been photographed with a woman in 3 years. You've rejected every social invitation. You barely leave this building. I said I'll handle it. Seo-Ryun spun his wheelchair around, the movement sharp and final. Meeting adjourned. He left before anyone could respond, wheeling himself toward the private elevator. His assistant Junwoo scrambled to follow, tablet in hand. Sir, I've already begun compiling a list of suitable candidates. There are several women from prominent families who would consider. I don't want someone who would consider it, Seo-Ryun interrupted. I want someone who can play the part convincingly and disappear when it's over. Junwoo's fingers flew across his tablet. A contractual arrangement? Exactly. That's rather unconventional. Seo-Ryun's laugh was bitter. Everything about my life is unconventional now. At least this way, there won't be any illusions. No pretending. No false hope. Just business. Junwoo nodded slowly. I'll arrange interviews starting tomorrow. If you're hooked already, hit that subscribe button because this story gets wild. Drop a comment telling us if you'd take the deal. Beverly Carter had exactly $43 in her checking account and a stack of medical bills that could wallpaper her aunt's entire apartment. She stared at the email on her cracked phone screen, reading it for the 3rd time. Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to move forward with other candidates. That made rejection number 17 this month. She'd been laid off 6 weeks ago when the marketing firm she worked for had restructured. Funny how restructuring always seemed to affect the newest employees first. Baby, is that you? Her Aunt Gloria's weak voice drifted from the bedroom. Beverly plastered on a smile before entering. Yeah, Auntie. Just got home. Gloria looked smaller every day, the cancer eating away at her with relentless efficiency. The doctors said treatment could help, could buy time. But treatment cost money Beverly didn't have. Any luck today? Few promising leads, Beverly lied smoothly. How are you feeling? Don't change the subject on me, girl. Despite her illness, Gloria's eyes remained sharp. You've got that look you get when you're trying to protect me. Beverly sat on the edge of the bed. I'm fine. I've got a temp job starting tomorrow actually. Just filing work, but it pays. It paid minimum wage and offered no benefits, but it was something. She'd taken it with a company called Hanseong Electronics after seeing the posting online. Big corporation, faceless work, but money was money. You're a good girl, Beverly. Too good sometimes. You should be out living your life, not stuck here with a sick old woman. You raised me when nobody else would, Beverly said firmly. I'm not going anywhere. The next morning, Beverly arrived at Hanseong's headquarters dressed in her best outfit, which was a simple black dress she'd worn to every interview for the past month. The building was impressive, all glass and steel, the kind of place where people wore designer suits and looked through you if you weren't important enough. She was assigned to the administrative pool on the 15th floor, sorting files and running errands. The work was mind-numbing, but she kept her head down and did what she was told. Around 2 in the afternoon, a harried assistant thrust a folder at her. Take this to the executive suite. 42nd floor. Leave it on the desk in the main office. Beverly took the folder, grateful for any excuse to move around. The elevator ride to the 42nd floor was smooth and silent. When the doors opened, she stepped into a completely different world. Everything here screamed wealth and power. The carpet was so thick her footsteps made no sound. Abstract art hung on walls. The lighting was soft and expensive. She walked down the corridor, checking room numbers. The silence felt heavy, oppressive. She found what she thought was the right office and pushed open the door. That's when everything changed. The office was massive, with windows overlooking the entire city. And in the center of that space, facing away from her, was a man in a wheelchair. Beverly froze. She hadn't expected anyone to be here. The assistant had said to just leave the folder. She tried to back out quietly, but her shoe caught on the door frame. She stumbled forward, her hand grabbing the back of the wheelchair for balance. The chair moved slightly. The man spun around so fast, Beverly barely had time to register his face before his eyes locked onto hers. They were dark, intense, and absolutely furious. Who are you? His voice was ice. I'm so sorry. I was just delivering this and I tripped, and I didn't mean to. Beverly held up the folder like a shield. You grabbed my chair. I know, I'm sorry, I lost my balance. No one touches my chair. Each word was precisely enunciated, sharp enough to cut. Beverly's apology died in her throat. She looked at him properly then. He was younger than she'd expected, maybe early 30s, with sharp features and perfectly styled black hair. His suit probably cost more than her car. Everything about him screamed power and control. Everything except the wheelchair. Look, I said I'm sorry, Beverly said, straightening her spine. It was an accident. I'll just leave this and go. She set the folder on the nearest surface and turned to leave. Wait. Beverly paused, glancing back. He was studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. You're new. First day. You don't seem afraid. Beverly blinked. Should I be? Something flickered in his expression, too quick for her to identify. Everyone else is. Well, I'm not everyone else. Now if you'll excuse me. What's your name? Beverly Carter. Korean? American. Is that going to be a problem? His lips twitched, almost a smile, but not quite. No. You can go, Beverly Carter. She didn't need to be told twice. As she walked back to the elevator, her heart pounded. She had no idea who that man was, but something told her she'd just made either the best or worst impression of her life. What she didn't know was that Seo-Ryun had already made a decision. The interviews started the next day. Seo-Ryun sat through an endless parade of beautiful women, each more polished than the last. Models with practiced smiles. Actresses who could cry on command. Socialites who spoke 5 languages and knew exactly which fork to use. They all had one thing in common. They looked at his wheelchair with either pity or barely concealed discomfort. I'd be honored to help you through this difficult time, one woman said, her voice dripping with sympathy. Seo-Ryun dismissed her before she finished speaking. I think we could make a great team, another tried, her hand resting lightly on his armrest. I've always admired men who overcome adversity. He had security escort her out. By the 5th interview, he was ready to cancel the entire process. This was pointless. He'd been a fool to think he could find someone who would treat this as the business transaction it was supposed to be. Then he heard a familiar voice in the hallway. They're acting like you're already dead. Seo-Ryun's head snapped toward the open door. Beverly stood just outside, a cleaning cart beside her, watching the latest candidate leave. The woman had been dabbing at fake tears with a handkerchief. Beverly's muttered comment hung in the air. Junwoo, Seo-Ryun said quietly. Bring her in. His assistant looked confused. Sir, the woman in the hallway. Bring her in. Junwoo stepped out and returned moments later with a very confused Beverly. You wanted to see me? She asked, her eyes darting around the room nervously. Close the door, Seo-Ryun instructed. Beverly did, slowly. You had something to say about my interviews? Her eyes widened. I was just talking to myself. I didn't think anyone heard. But you said it. Beverly bit her lip. Look, if I'm fired, just say so. I can't afford to drag this out. You're not fired. Sit. She sat in the chair across from his desk, her posture defensive. Seo-Ryun studied her. She was pretty in an understated way, with natural hair pulled back into a ponytail and minimal makeup. She wore the same black dress from yesterday, slightly wrinkled now. Her nails were short and unpainted. Everything about her screamed ordinary. Perfect. How much do you know about me? He asked. Beverly shrugged. You're important. You're rich. You're in a wheelchair. That's about it. You don't know who I am? Should I? This was getting better. I'm Seo-Ryun. I'm the CEO of this company. Her eyes went wide. Oh wow. I definitely should not have grabbed your wheelchair yesterday. No, you shouldn't have. He leaned back. But you also didn't apologize like you thought I was broken. You apologized like you'd bumped into anyone else. Because that's what happened? Most people don't see it that way. Beverly frowned. That's their problem, not yours. Seo-Ryun made his decision. I have a proposition for you. If this is about me getting fired, I need a wife. Beverly laughed. It was a genuine, surprised sound that echoed in the large office. Okay, you're messing with me. Is this some kind of test? Does HR know about this? I'm completely serious. I need to be married within 85 days to maintain control of my company. I'm offering you a 6-month contract to pose as my wife. Public appearances only. Separate living quarters. Purely business. Her laughter died. You're actually serious. Yes. Why me? Because you don't pity me. Because you don't know who I am. Because you're ordinary enough that no one will question why I chose you, and you clearly need money. Beverly stood up abruptly. I'm not that desperate. Everyone has a price. Not me. I'm not going to be some rich guy's pity wife or charity case or whatever weird thing this is. She walked toward the door. 5 million up front. She paused. Another 5 million when the contract ends. All medical expenses covered for anyone in your immediate family. A job here for as long as you want it. And complete discretion. Beverly's hand rested on the door handle, but she didn't open it. Seo-Ryun pressed on. I know about your aunt. Gloria Carter, stage 3 cancer. The bills are mounting. You were laid off. You're behind on rent. You're running out of options. She spun around, anger flashing in her eyes. You investigated me? I investigate everyone. That's creepy. That's business. He wheeled closer. Think about it, Beverly. 6 months of your life. You attend some events, smile for cameras, and live in luxury. In return, your aunt gets the treatment she needs. You get financial security. And when it's over, we go our separate ways. No harm, no foul. Why not just marry someone from your world? All those women out there would say yes in a heartbeat. Because they would want more. They would think they could make it real. You won't. You'll understand this is a transaction, nothing more. Beverly closed her eyes. This is insane. Is that a no? She stood there for a long moment, her internal struggle visible on her face. Seo-Ryun waited. He'd learned patience in the 3 years since his accident. He could wait now. Finally, Beverly opened her eyes. I need to think about it. You have 24 hours. She left without another word. Seo-Ryun sat alone in his office as the sun set over Seoul. He'd made the offer. Now he had to wait to see if she'd be desperate enough to accept. He told himself it didn't matter either way. There were other options. Other candidates. But something about Beverly Carter had caught his attention. Maybe it was the way she'd looked at him without flinching. Maybe it was her honesty, so rare in his world of calculated moves and hidden agendas. Or maybe he was just tired of being treated like he was already dead. Beverly didn't sleep that night. She sat at her aunt's bedside, watching Gloria's chest rise and fall with each labored breath. The medication they could afford barely touched the pain anymore. The doctor had been clear. Without proper treatment, Gloria had maybe 6 months. 6 months. The same length as Seo-Ryun's contract. I don't know what to do, Auntie, Beverly whispered to the sleeping woman. It feels wrong. Like I'm selling myself. But it could save you. Gloria didn't answer, lost in medicated sleep. Beverly pulled out her phone and did what she should have done yesterday. She Googled Seo-Ryun. The results were extensive. Articles about his business acumen. Photos from before the accident, him standing tall at galas and corporate events. Then the accident itself. A car crash, another driver under the influence, Seo-Ryun's car forced off a bridge. He'd survived, but his spine had been damaged. The photos after the accident were rare. He'd become a ghost, running his empire from behind closed doors. There were also photos of his ex-fiancée, a stunning model who'd left him shortly after the accident. The tabloids had crucified her, but she'd married a famous actor 6 months later. She looked happy. Beverly wondered if Seo-Ryun had ever been happy. She thought about his eyes. Cold and calculating, yes, but also lonely. Deeply, achingly lonely. I'm going to do it, she told her sleeping aunt. I'm going to say yes. I'm sorry if that makes me a bad person, but I can't lose you. I can't. The next morning, Beverly marched into Seo-Ryun's office at exactly 9 a.m. I have conditions, she announced. He looked up from his computer, one eyebrow raised. You haven't even said yes yet. I'm saying yes, but I have conditions. I'm listening. Beverly pulled out a crumpled piece of paper where she'd written her demands at 3 in the morning. First, my aunt's treatment starts immediately. I want confirmation from doctors before I sign anything. Second, I want everything in writing by lawyers. Real lawyers, not your people. Third, after the 6 months, you never contact me again. Clean break. And fourth, she hesitated. Fourth, you treat me with respect. I'm not your property. I'm not your employee. For 6 months, I'm your equal, at least in public. I won't be talked down to or dismissed or made to feel small. Deal? Seo-Ryun smiled. It was the first genuine smile she'd seen from him, and it transformed his entire face. Deal. He pulled out a contract from his desk drawer, already prepared. My lawyers drafted this last night. Read it carefully. Take your time. Beverly sat and read every word. It was exactly as he'd described. The money, the timeline, the terms. Everything was clinical and clear. At the bottom were 2 signature lines. She picked up the pen. Her hand shook slightly as she signed her name. Beverly Carter. 6 months starting now. Seo-Ryun signed his name below hers. Welcome to the family, wife. The words sent a chill down her spine. What had she just agreed to? Moving into Seo-Ryun's mansion felt like stepping into a different universe. Beverly stood in the marble foyer, her single suitcase looking pathetically small against the grandeur surrounding her. Crystal chandeliers hung from ceilings so high her neck hurt from looking up. Everything gleamed with the kind of perfection that only serious money could buy. Your room is on the 2nd floor, east wing, Seo-Ryun said, wheeling past her without stopping. Mrs. Kang will show you. An older woman appeared, her expression sour as she looked Beverly up and down. Follow me. The bedroom was larger than her aunt's entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked manicured gardens. The bed could easily fit 4 people. The closet was the size of her old bedroom. Dinner is at 7, Mrs. Kang said stiffly. Mr. Han expects punctuality. Thank you, Beverly said, but the housekeeper had already left. She sat on the edge of the massive bed and pulled out her phone. A text from the hospital confirmed her aunt had been moved to a private room and treatment would begin tomorrow. At least that part was real. Her phone buzzed with a message from Seo-Ryun. We have our first public appearance in 3 days. A charity gala. Junwoo will arrange appropriate clothing. Beverly typed back, I can dress myself. His response came immediately. Not for this world, you can't. She wanted to argue, but he was probably right. She'd never been to a gala. She'd never even been to a wedding that required more than a sundress. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. A stylist arrived with racks of designer dresses. A woman spent 2 hours doing something called balayage to her hair. Another taught her how to walk in heels without looking like a baby giraffe. Through it all, Seo-Ryun remained distant. He worked in his office. He ate meals alone. The only time Beverly saw him was during brief training sessions, where Junwoo coached them on their cover story. You met at a hospital charity event 6 months ago, Junwoo recited. It was love at first sight. You bonded over your shared interest in helping others. The proposal was private and intimate. This is ridiculous, Beverly muttered. This is necessary, Seo-Ryun corrected. The story has to be believable. Why would anyone believe you'd fall for someone like me? His eyes met hers. Why wouldn't they? She had no answer for that. The night of the gala, Beverly stood in front of her mirror, barely recognizing herself. The dress was deep emerald green, elegant, and sophisticated. Her hair fell in soft waves. The makeup was flawless. She looked like she belonged in Seo-Ryun's world. The illusion was perfect. A knock at her door made her turn. Seo-Ryun wheeled in, stopping when he saw her. For a moment, something flickered in his expression. You look acceptable, he said finally. You look acceptable too, she shot back, though that was an understatement. He wore a black tuxedo that fit him perfectly, his hair styled back. If circumstances were different, if this were real, any woman would be proud to have him on her arm. Ready? He asked. As I'll ever be. The gala was overwhelming. Hundreds of people in designer clothes, champagne flowing, cameras flashing. Beverly's hand rested on Seo-Ryun's shoulder as they posed for photos, just as Junwoo had instructed. Smile, Seo-Ryun murmured. You look terrified. I am terrified. Don't be. You're with me. No one will dare say anything. He was right. People stared, whispered, but approached them with perfect politeness. Some looked surprised. Others looked curious. But no one questioned it directly. Mr. Han, what a lovely surprise, a woman in diamonds said, her eyes raking over Beverly. I didn't know you were seeing anyone. Mrs. Park, this is Beverly, my fiancé. We've kept things private until now. The woman's smile was sharp. How modern. And where did you two meet? Beverly opened her mouth, but Seo-Ryun answered smoothly. At a charity event. She was volunteering. I was immediately taken by her kindness. How sweet. Mrs. Park's tone suggested it was anything but. Well, congratulations. As she walked away, Beverly whispered, she hated me. She hates everyone. Don't take it personally. Throughout the evening, they played their parts perfectly. Seo-Ryun's hand would occasionally rest on hers. Beverly would laugh at his remarks. To anyone watching, they looked like a couple genuinely in love. But the moment they returned to the mansion, the facade dropped. You did well, Seo-Ryun said as they entered the foyer. Thanks. So did you. Silence fell between them, awkward and heavy. Good night, Beverly. Good night. She went to her wing. He went to his. And the massive house felt emptier than ever. The weeks that followed established a routine. Public appearances where they played the perfect couple. Private moments where they were strangers sharing a house. The staff treated Beverly with thinly veiled contempt. Mrs. Kang, in particular, seemed to take pleasure in small acts of cruelty, serving Beverly's meals cold, forgetting to relay messages, making snide comments in Korean she thought Beverly couldn't understand. One morning, Beverly had enough. She found Mrs. Kang in the kitchen, speaking to another staff member. She's just a gold digger. Mr. Han will realize it soon enough. Excuse me, Beverly said in clear Korean. She'd been taking lessons secretly. I'd appreciate it if you spoke about me to my face instead of behind my back. Mrs. Kang's face went white. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. And I'm tired of it. I don't care if you like me, but you will respect me or you can find another job. The housekeeper's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. From the doorway, a voice said, Is there a problem? Seo-Ryun wheeled into the kitchen, his expression neutral. Mrs. Kang immediately bowed. No, Mr. Han. No problem at all. Good. Mrs. Kang, Beverly is right. Show her the same respect you'd show me. Am I clear? Yes, sir. After the staff scattered, Seo-Ryun looked at Beverly with something like approval. You've been learning Korean. Seemed useful. You stood up for yourself. I wasn't going to let them walk all over me. He smiled slightly. Good. I was wondering when you'd grow a spine. I've always had a spine. I just choose when to use it. Something shifted between them in that moment. A crack in the walls they'd both built. That evening, Seo-Ryun had a bad pain episode. Beverly heard the crash from her room and ran toward his wing without thinking. She found him on the floor beside his bed, his wheelchair overturned, his face twisted in agony. "Don't," he gritted out. "Don't look at me like this." "Shut up," Beverly said, kneeling beside him. "Where's your medication?" "Bathroom. Top shelf." She retrieved the pills and water, helping him take them. His pride was wounded worse than his body, she could tell. But she didn't comment on it. Didn't offer pity. Just helped him back into his chair with quiet efficiency. "Thank you," he said after a long moment. "You're welcome." She started to leave, but his voice stopped her. "Beverly, stay. Just for a minute." She sat on the edge of his bed. They didn't speak. The silence wasn't uncomfortable this time. It was almost peaceful. "Do you ever wonder what your life would be like if you'd made different choices?" he asked suddenly. "All the time." "Do you regret this?" "The contract." Beverly considered the question carefully. "My aunt is getting better. The treatment is working. So no, I don't regret it." "Do you?" "I don't know yet." 2 months into the arrangement, Beverly noticed changes. Seo-Ryun joined her for breakfast sometimes. They'd talk about mundane things, the news, a book one of them was reading, her aunt's progress. Nothing deep, but more than the silence they'd started with. He began asking her opinion on things. What she thought about a business decision. Whether a charity was worth supporting. She realized he actually listened to her answers. One evening, she pushed his wheelchair outside to the garden. It was raining lightly, warm summer rain that felt refreshing against her skin. "What are you doing?" Seo-Ryun asked. "We'll get wet." "So? When's the last time you were in the rain?" "That's not." "Live a little, Seo-Ryun." She pushed him along the garden path, both of them getting progressively more soaked. And then something unexpected happened. He laughed. It was a real laugh, unguarded and genuine. The sound of it made Beverly's chest tighten. "You're completely insane," he said, still laughing. "Maybe, but you needed this." He looked up at her, rain dripping down his face. "Maybe I did." In that moment, standing in the rain, Beverly felt something dangerous bloom in her chest. Something she absolutely could not afford to feel. We're halfway through this wild ride. Don't forget to like this video and drop a comment about what you think happens next. Does Beverly fall for him? Does he break her heart? Let us know below. The shift was subtle at first. Seo-Ryun's eyes would linger on her a moment too long. Beverly would find herself thinking about him at odd hours. The professional distance they'd maintained began to feel less like protection and more like torture. Then Marcus showed up. Beverly was at a coffee shop near the hospital, visiting her aunt during the day, when she ran into an old college friend. Marcus was handsome, charming, and genuinely happy to see her. "Beverly Carter. I thought that was you. How long has it been?" "Marcus. Oh my God, 3 years." They hugged, caught up, exchanged numbers. It was innocent. Friendly. Nothing more. But when Seo-Ryun saw Marcus's name flash on her phone that evening during dinner, something dark crossed his face. Who's Marcus? An old friend. Just a friend. Beverly set down her fork. Why do you care? I don't. But people will talk if they see you with another man. We're not actually together, remember? This is fake. It has to look real. Then maybe you should have put no male friends in the contract. Seo-Ryun's jaw tightened. Maybe I should have. The argument escalated quickly, both of them saying things they didn't mean. Finally, Seo-Ryun slammed his hand on the table. This is a contract, Beverly. Don't confuse it for something else. His words hit like a physical blow. Beverly stood up slowly. Trust me. I would never confuse anything about this for real. She left him sitting alone in the dining room. That night, Beverly lay in bed staring at the ceiling. She'd been stupid. So incredibly stupid. Of course this wasn't real. Of course he didn't care. This was business. It had always been business. She needed to remember that. But remembering became harder over the following weeks. Seo-Ryun was colder, more distant. They attended events, but barely spoke outside of them. The easy rapport they'd built crumbled. Beverly told herself it was better this way. Safer. Then everything fell apart. She'd gone to Seo-Ryun's office to get him to sign some paperwork for her aunt's next round of treatment. His door was slightly ajar. Inside, she heard him on a conference call. Once the 90 days are up, we'll handle the divorce quietly, Seo-Ryun said. The prenup is ironclad. She gets her money, I get my company, and we both move on. A board member's voice crackled through the speaker. You're certain she won't cause problems? I'm certain. She understood from the beginning this was temporary. There won't be any complications. Beverly's hand froze on the door handle. She'd known this, of course. The contract had been clear. But hearing him discuss her like a business transaction, like she was just another item to be handled and disposed of, made her feel physically sick. She'd been an idiot. Somewhere along the way, despite her best efforts, she'd started to care. She'd started to hope that maybe, just maybe, this could become something real. But to him, she was nothing. Just a convenient solution to an inconvenient problem. Beverly walked back to her room in a daze. She pulled out her suitcase and started packing. Her aunt was stable now. The treatment had worked. The money she'd been paid up front was enough to cover ongoing care. She didn't need to stay. She didn't need to torture herself pretending this meant something when it clearly didn't. As the sun set, Beverly carried her suitcase down the stairs. She'd leave a note. Keep it simple. Professional. She never got the chance. Seo-Ryun was in the foyer, apparently waiting for her. Where are you going? He asked. I'm leaving. The contract isn't finished. I don't care about the contract anymore. His eyes narrowed. What happened? Nothing happened. I just can't do this anymore. Pretend. Play house. Be your convenient fake wife. I'm done. Beverly. I heard you, she said, her voice breaking. On your call. Talking about the divorce, about how I won't be a complication. And you're right. I won't be. Because I'm leaving now. Understanding dawned on his face. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. This was always temporary. I knew that. I just forgot for a while. She moved toward the door. Goodbye, Seo-Ryun. Don't go. Why? Give me one good reason. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Said nothing. That silence was all the answer Beverly needed. She walked out the door and didn't look back. Seo-Ryun sat alone in his mansion as night fell. The contract had been finalized that afternoon. The board had signed off. His company was secure. His inheritance protected. He'd won. So why did he feel like he'd lost everything? He wheeled through the empty halls, past Beverly's room where her absence felt like a physical presence. He'd gotten exactly what he wanted. A business arrangement. No complications. No emotions. He'd protected himself perfectly. And destroyed the only real thing he'd had in 3 years. His phone buzzed with messages from the board, from investors, from people congratulating him on his victory. He ignored them all. Instead, he found himself looking at photos from the past 4 months. Beverly laughing at a gala. Beverly pushing his wheelchair through the garden. Beverly looking at him like he was worth something. Jun-woo found him in his office at midnight, staring at his computer screen. Sir, the press release is ready. Should I send it? What press release? Announcing your engagement is off. We need to control the narrative before rumors start. Seo-Ryun stared at the draft on his screen. Professional. Diplomatic. Final. No, he said quietly. Sir, don't send it. Cancel everything tomorrow. Clear my schedule. May I ask why? For the first time in 3 years, Seo-Ryun smiled with genuine emotion. I have something more important to do. Beverly spent the next 2 days at her aunt's apartment, trying to pretend her heart wasn't shattered. Gloria was doing better, her color returned, her strength slowly rebuilding. That should have been enough. It wasn't. Baby girl, you want to tell me what happened? Gloria asked. Nothing. The job just didn't work out. This was about more than a job. I can see it in your eyes. Beverly's resolve crumbled. She told her aunt everything. The contract, the fake marriage, the way she'd accidentally fallen for a man who saw her as nothing more than a business transaction. Oh, sweetheart, Gloria pulled her into a hug. Love isn't something you can contract away. It doesn't matter. He doesn't feel the same. Are you sure about that? He had his chance to ask me to stay. He said nothing. That afternoon, Beverly volunteered at a community center, trying to lose herself in helping others. She was organizing donated clothes when a commotion started near the entrance. People were whispering, pointing, pulling out phones. Beverly looked up and froze. Seo-Ryun wheeled through the door. The entire community center went silent. This was not his world. Not his scene. He looked completely out of place in his expensive suit, surrounded by worn furniture and second-hand donations. But his eyes found Beverly's immediately. "Can we talk?" he asked. "How did you find me?" "I always know where you are. I've had security on you since day one." "That's creepy." "That's love." The room erupted in gasps and murmurs. Beverly felt her face flush. "Don't do this. Not here. Not like this. Where else should I do it? In private where you can walk away again?" "No. I'm doing this here, in front of witnesses, so you know I mean every word." He wheeled closer. Everyone in the community center was watching now, phones raised, recording every moment. "I hired you because I thought I could control everything," Seo-Ryun said. "Control the situation, control the outcome, control my feelings. But you ruined all of that. You made me feel things I swore I'd never feel again. You made me hope, and that terrified me." "Seo-Ryun, I'm not finished. That phone call you heard? I was lying. To them, to myself, to everyone. Because the truth was too scary to admit. The truth is that somewhere between that first day when you grabbed my wheelchair and yesterday when you walked out, I fell completely in love with you." Beverly's breath caught. Around them, people were crying, filming, living for this moment. "I paid millions for a lie," Seo-Ryun continued, his voice raw with emotion. "But I lost the only truth I ever had. You. And I can't live with that. I don't want the contract. I don't want the arrangement. I want you. Really you. For real." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small box. From it, he took a ring. Not the fake one they'd used for photos. A real one. Simple but beautiful. "Beverly Carter, will you marry me? Not for business. Not for show. Not for 6 months. But forever. Because I love you. Because you make me want to be better. Because without you, I'm just a man in a wheelchair pretending to be alive." Tears streamed down Beverly's face. "You're an idiot. Is that a yes? You really love me? More than I thought I could love anything." Beverly knelt down so they were eye to eye. "The contract." I tore it up. "Here." He pulled shredded papers from his pocket. "It's gone. This is real. This is me choosing you. Do you choose me?" She kissed him. Right there in front of everyone. Kissed him like her life depended on it. When they finally broke apart, she was laughing and crying simultaneously. "Yes. Yes, you impossible man. Yes." He slid the ring onto her finger. The community center erupted in applause and cheers. "There's one more thing," Seo-Ryun said over the noise. "I talked to a judge this morning. If you want, we can get married today. Right now. Make it official before you have time to realize what a disaster I am and change your mind." Beverly laughed. "Today? Are you serious?" "Completely. I've waited 3 years to feel alive again. I'm not waiting another day." She looked at her aunt, who was crying and nodding encouragingly. She looked at the crowd around them, strangers who'd become witnesses to something real and raw and beautiful. She looked at Seo-Ryun, this broken man who'd somehow become whole again, this cold CEO who'd learned to feel. "Okay," she said. "Let's do it. Let's get married today." And they did. The wedding was nothing like their first engagement had been. No press. No performance. Just a simple ceremony at City Hall with her aunt and Junwoo as witnesses. Beverly wore the same black dress she'd worn to her first day of work. Seo-Ryun wore his suit. They spoke vows they wrote themselves. Promise to love each other on good days and bad. Promise to be honest. Promise to choose each other every single day. When the judge pronounced them married, Seo-Ryun pulled Beverly down into his lap and kissed her like the world was ending and she was his only salvation. "I love you," he whispered against her lips. "I love you too," she whispered back. That evening, as they sat together watching the sunset from his mansion's garden, Beverly's head resting on his shoulder, he asked, "Do you regret it? Any of it? The contract? The fake engagement? The drama?" Beverly pretended to think. "Yeah, I regret all of it." His face fell. She smiled. But I don't regret this. Us. Real us. Good. Because you're stuck with me now. Forever. Forever. And for the first time in 3 years, Seo-Ryun believed in forever again. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories. Drop a comment telling us what you loved most about Beverly and Seo-Ryun's journey. And remember, sometimes the best love stories start with the worst plans. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. She was hired to pretend, but became the woman who taught a broken man how to love again.